everyone has a story in them.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
life can be an example of hope and inspiration for someone else. One of my mentors says, our mess is our message. So if you've got a mess, you've probably got a message that can help other people.
Some experts chase attention, but the smart ones build authority. You're listening to the Authority on Demand podcast, where credibility becomes your competitive advantage. Every week, we're pulling back the curtain on how founders and leaders turn expertise into inbound demand through books that position, media that converse, and strategies that actually move the needle. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authority on Demand. Now, let's turn your authority into leverage. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Authors on Mission podcast. Today, we are talking with Earl Waud, a very inspirational author here who has a couple books out and a new one in the works. On this episode, we're going to be chatting about Hindsight, the 7 Keys to Living Your Best Life, Borrowed Belief, the secret ingredient for living your best life. And as you can see right behind Earl right there, we're going to be chatting about his upcoming book, Unlocking Success. So it's going to be a very fun episode. We're going to be chatting about writing techniques and everything in between. So whether you are a CEO, consultant, a thought leader, a writer, whatever it is, if you're ready to share your message, you're in the right place. Today's episode is going to show you everything you need to know. And so keep listening to find out more about Earl's path to authorship. Earl, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm very excited about this interview. I love talking about my books. They're my passion, and your Authors on a Mission podcast is the perfect place for this. So thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you so much for saying that. I always love to, dive deep and learn a little bit more about so many different types of writing and writing tactics and everything in between. I think this is going to be perfect. So awesome stuff. But before we dive into the books, I'd like to learn a little bit more about you. You're known as the master of change, as they say. So can you tell us a little bit about like where that nickname came from and when you realized you needed to be a master of change rather than a victim of it?
Yes. So I have been working with a bunch of different mentors over my lifetime. One of which very recently, well, the last few years, I would say, is Jack Canfield. He is the person who brought us the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, if you're not familiar with Jack. He also has a book called The Success Principles. And one of those principles is a formula called E plus R equals O. And that stands for events plus response equals your outcomes. And I learned through that formula that it is far better to respond and instead of react to events so that you can make the changes and have the outcomes that you want in life. So I became a master of change so that I would focus on my responses.
Understood. Okay. Well, first off, really cool you got to work with the author of the Chicken Soup books. That's a huge, franchise, and I'm sure you learned a lot from working with him. But yeah, really awesome that you. That's kind of how everything came to be, and I guess that's what eventually led you into. I guess you could say your hindsight discovery. Is that correct? That the reason you unlocked those 7 keys.
Well, it probably contributed to it, but I started off at a very young age studying personal development. My father's best friend gave me a paperback copy of Think and Grow Rich when I was 10. He said it was worth $1 million. At that time, I didn't really grasp what that meant. He was pretty excited about the book, so I got excited about it, started reading it. It took me a little while, honestly. I was probably 12 before I actually finished that whole book, but it started me on a journey, and I've studied personal development, human achievement, pretty much my whole life since then. And I have been using it very successfully for myself. I've lived a very blessed life. Things have come to me well. And then, how long ago? About 6 years ago, I guess now, I had hurt my shoulder and I had to have surgery. When I was under the anesthesia, I had a vision, a download. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it was the entire book, Hindsight.
Okay, so it just came to you in a vision? Is
It
that what
came
I'm
to me
hearing?
in a vision, in a download. When I came out of the surgery, the first thing I did is said, I got to write this book. It was a fascinating vision where I went to a place called the Bureau of Hindsight, and I was instructed that I'd been using all this information just for myself, and it was time for me to help other people with what I knew. And they literally walked me through memories of my life, showed me how each of those memories contributed to my understanding of the keys: gratitude, responsibility, continuous learning, that kind of thing. And that I needed to write those out so that people who are at a crossroads in their life could have this information to make better choices, make better responses, and have better outcomes.
So I'm guessing that that memory lane, as you talk about, kind of translated into what you call the Barrow of Hindsight in the Hindsight book. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. So
Okay.
the book Hindsight is a detailed description of the entire process from me going into surgery, going to the Bureau of Hindsight, and meeting the people who work there, and then experiencing the memories of my life, the various ones, and then coming out and writing the book.
Okay, well, there we go. And I think this is probably a good transition to talk a little bit about hindsight itself. So let's chat about it a little bit. You mentioned the keys already. Did you know there's exactly seven, or did you think about them after having that vision? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. So uh, subconsciously, I would say I always knew those were the keys, the foundation to being successful. I didn't write them down as a list of these are the most important keys at any point until the book came around, right? And it was clearly explained to me that those were the foundation of my success. The things that I have done, the memories that I experienced demonstrated easily and made me feel the gratitude.
Mm.
It showed me the responsibility aspects, showed me the areas where I always continuously learned, where I um, gave back, things, all different aspects of the seven.
Understood. Okay, so kind of, I would say, just as a summary, a little bit of both. Then, like you kind of knew them all, but then you refined them as time went on.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I kind of knew them all, right? Like you said.
yeah.
And, but I hadn't stated them in a way that was easy for somebody else to understand what I experienced
Got it,
until,
got it.
yeah.
So that must have been an interesting writing process then, going from something that came in a vision to organizing those thoughts to putting it down on paper. Can you speak a little bit about, did you have a certain methodology that worked for you versus something else?
Yeah, sure. So before Hindsight came around, I had written some technical books. I also did technical review of other people's books. So I'd had some writing experience. Um, Most of the technical books took me between around 9 months from start to finish. The process I use is that I write at least 100 words a day. It's a non negotiable commitment that I make sure that I add to the book that I'm working on at least 100 words. A lot of times the next day I'll reread that 100 and not like it. I'll delete it and I'll write another 100, but I have to write at least 100 every day. That keeps me moving forward, keeps the momentum going. With hindsight, it was interesting in that start to finish, from when I first wrote the first words to when I published on Amazon, was only 4 months.
Oh, wow, that's incredible timing.
Yeah.
I've seen people do it pretty fast, but to get to the publishing phase and everything is that's what usually holds people back too. But that's awesome that you're able to get it out in such a quick time. And there you go. Now it's on Amazon, and everybody, if you're interested, you could go ahead and click on over and learn a little bit more about it. But Earl, this isn't your only book. We also have The Borrowed Belief, The Secret Ingredient for Living Your Best Life. So are these books related in any way?
They absolutely are.
Okay.
As I was finishing probably month three of the writing of Hindsight, I had another download. It was the entire first part of the second book in the series, Borrow Belief. There it is. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, It was the story of Adam, who, at his absolute lowest moment, is given a sign and he finds a copy of Hindsight in a bookstore. It was the exact thing that he needed at that exact moment to give him hope and belief to see another day. Um, he read the book, applied it, transformed his life in every way imaginable, and then went on to start teaching people the seven keys, which in Borrowed Belief he calls the seven ingredients. Same principles, but that's his Adam's the main character in the book. His version are the seven ingredients.
Okay, well, that's a very unique concept. I've talked to a lot of authors, who have different, philosophies and, frameworks to follow. But I think this might be the first time I've seen somebody who wrote a book about somebody reading their own book.
Yeah,
That's unique. I like it. It's kind of like a
thank you.
guide to how to read your book, I suppose, like a what to do with this model.
Yeah, a way to see what's possible, right? If you apply each of these principles.
No, it's really cool. It's very inspiring that you've done that. And I think a lot of authors can learn from that because we put our books out in the world and we hope that readers will take it the way that we're intending them to. But why not just tell them what to do? I
I
love
hope
that.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because within this book bar belief, it's what we learned here is it's of course it's Adam's story, right? But why would you choose this particular character, Adam, right? So why him over somebody named Susan or Jake, or is this like your goal audience if personified in Adam? Did you think about that in particular, or is it just kind of a random character you thought about?
Well, I don't think it was random. Like I said, I had another download of the whole first section of the book come as I
Mm,
was finishing Hindsight, and the name Adam was there. It was something that kind of just appeared in
understood.
my mind, and I knew that it was what needed to go into the second book, and with that, a whole series. I actually have a plan. There are 9 books that are going to be in this whole series, all related. Borrowed Belief was the one for the key of belief, right? So the seven keys, right? That's one of the seven. Um,
Right, right.
the I'll have one for gratitude. That'll be. I'm working on a book called 37 Reasons. We'll probably talk about that in a minute, but the one after that book is going to be the one on gratitude, and then each key will get its own book in the series. And I know you probably can't see it on, but on the cover, let's see if I can get it to show up.
You
Right
can take a little bit
there, the
closer.
bottom. Put it in front of my face. Maybe you see
Oh,
the
you
little
almost got
H.
it. Yeah, I just think H,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep. So on this one, there is an I. Oh man, it's not going to show up. There it is. So when you get
Yeah,
all the
okay.
books in the series and put them on your
I
shelf, the
saw
bottom will
hindsight,
spell
don't worry.
hindsight.
That's very clever. I love that.
Thank you.
Very cool design work.
Yeah. So again, the books that book kind of came through the next book, 37 Reasons. It is a much more serious book. It is inspired partly from our neighbor from a very long time. Their son sadly took his own life,
Mm,
and the impact on his family, on that family, on us, on the community, the school, the church, everything. The ripple of that uh, sad event had such an impact that I felt compelled that if I could do anything to prevent that in the future, I needed to. I learned after that over 5,000 teenagers in the U.S. alone take their own life every year, and
mm.
just seeing the impact of just one, I can't. It's hard to even fathom what that does across our country.
No, of course. Yeah, and I'm very sorry for, I'm sure that even though it wasn't your family, it's someone very close to your community. So I'm very sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Must be a lot to go through. But that being said, it's great that you took that and you turned it into a point that can be learned from in a way within the book. So it's something,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of honoring his memory in a beneficial way. So that's
Yeah.
important.
So in 37 Reasons, continuing the connection as hindsight, um, Adam finds hindsight, changes his life, turns it around, and starts teaching other people. In 37 Reasons, the story, there's two aspects of it. There's a principles part of the book, and there's a story part of the book. And in the story part, a high school experiences a teen taking their life, and they bring in somebody to help them deal with the aftermath of that. The person they happen to bring in is Adam. So that's the connection, the thread that
Really cool.
goes through into that book. The next book that's coming out or will come out is going to be about gratitude. One of the six main characters in the 37 Reasons story, it'll be her story of gratitude. And that'll continue the thread. The intention is that for all the books, there'll be a thread that binds them all together.
I like that, and I like how you interconnect books. That's like my little like. I love when you do people like authors do that little Easter eggs connecting the books together. It's great, and it shows that you've really planned things and thought them out. Does this mean that you have a plan for just all of every book coming out in from years from now? You know how you're going to interconnect them. Have you already thought about all that?
I have, yeah, for
Wow.
that series. There's been some books that have kind of come up about that aren't connected to that series, but they're still fun books. I try to make them extremely enjoyable to read, as well as have lessons in them where appropriate. That's kind of like my thing. I'm a big fan of this thread that you just mentioned, how the Easter eggs. There's an author, Robert Heinlein, that I've read for pretty much my whole life, and he has characters that show up across multiple books throughout his I can't remember 40 or so books that he wrote.
Right, understood. So that's cool. You have that inspirational piece. Well, so I guess this means that you also have some threads that you're planning that are within unlocking success too. Is that true? Kind of transitioning into the next book.
Um, Unlocking Success was a slightly different uh, tangent. It was an opportunity to write and share a book with some amazing people, most notably Jack Canfield. He is the lead writer in the book, and it is a book where others contributed chapters to the book, including myself. And being able to work with him on that project was kind of a bucket list item, right? He's quite an amazing with the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. It is literally the largest um, successful series of books ever. It's, I believe, over 600 million copies sold now.
Understood. Oh, that's incredible, actually. So this is a good time to transition and talk a little bit more about that book. Then I haven't researched that one, so tell me more. Like, what should we be expecting, looking forward to? You're
Yeah.
still in the process, by the way, everybody. Still being
No,
worked on.
actually, this one's out. It
Oh,
came out uh, I don't know, a few months ago. The book is published. It went rapidly to number one,
okay.
so much so that we, as the authors, were awarded at a gala in LA just a couple of weeks ago something called the Quilly. It's my first writing award. I don't know.
Wow, that is yes, I love that. I
With
didn't
my
realize you got
quill,
a
right?
physical trophy. That is so cool.
Yes, it was quite the event. Oscar style, walking across the stage, getting interviewed afterwards. It was an incredible experience I will cherish for a very long time. But the book is incredible. The stories, the different people that contributed, it is a phenomenal success in and of itself. Each story gives you a little bit of information, knowledge that you can use to be more successful in your own life.
Understood. And I don't know why I thought that you said you're still working on this one. Maybe I misheard you when we first got started on this call. But that's really cool that I guess it makes sense if it's out, you got the award. I don't
Yep.
know where my mind
Yeah,
went.
yeah. No
Very
worries. You probably with 37 Reasons is the one that's still in Word.
37 Reasons.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
understood. Thank
That
you
one
for
is
that.
taking me longer. It's such a tough topic and I want to make sure I get it right. So it is taking longer than any of my other books. And it's over a year now I've been working on this one because it's so important. And I really, really want it to uh, do well to make a difference. And so I'm being very careful about
Right. Yeah. So let's chat about that a little bit. You mentioned earlier that you made yourself write, 100 words per day, but I guess even that strategy just isn't quite working with this book because it's so important. So I think a lot of authors can benefit from hearing about this because everybody has a different process of writing their books, but some people do get stuck after a while. So what is it that you keep finding yourself delaying on a little bit, and
it.
what's been challenging?
Well, this book I'm creating is going to be unique among all of my books, and I've only seen one other book that used this model. It's a book called The 1 Minute Millionaire by Robert Allen and Mark Victor Hansen. In that book, and also in 37 Reasons, there are two books in it. The first book is purely a story that you can read as though you're reading a normal novel, right? It's going to follow the journey of six students in a high school in the aftermath of a teen suicide. um, that story is going to be accompanied with a book that is all principle based. And there are 37 principles that are going to be covered in the book: tips, ideas, suggestions, ways to handle things to prevent you from wanting to go down the road of taking your own life. The books are going to be side by side. So on the left pages of the book, the story will be, and on the right will be the principles. So as you're reading the story, you can look over to the right and see the principle that they're talking about, that they're
Mhm.
using in the story, right? So trying to get that alignment, it's a little more challenging than just writing a straight uh, story book or a straight principle book, right? And uh, being uh, one of my friends called it seasoned. Being a seasoned person, trying to write in the voice of teenagers is a little more challenging, right? So I want to make sure that I get it to be authentic so that when you're reading it and you're hearing dialogue from these teens, that it sounds like teenagers and not somebody who's been around a lot longer than that.
Understood. That's really cool to think about, and I love that parallel structure that you described. You have a lot of interesting ideas, not only with the Easter eggs, but also with the structure of the book design. So, where do you get all these ideas? It's insane and very inspiring. You're not the typical writer. You're somebody who does something a little different for everything.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think the best ideas come through me.
Mm,
They're not
yeah.
necessarily something I genesis. They are something that just when I get in the flow, kind of comes through me. So yeah, I'm trying to do a lot of interesting things with the 37 Reasons book because I need to capture attention. I need to make sure that it reaches as many people as it possibly can to make the difference that I'd like to see it make. I have an idea for the audio book that I'm not going to share yet because I don't know if I can make it happen. But I've got a big plan for the audio book that would attract a lot of teenagers to want to read it. I have uh, a lot of fun things where I'm putting in QR codes so that for some of the principles, they can scan the QR code and then see somebody acting out the principle or using it or hear audio, things like that, to embed in the book. And then in the chapters, the 37 reasons, the first letter of each chapter is spelling out a message that is going to be, if you look at the table of contents, you'll be able to see the message kind of thing. So there's a lot of additional effort that I'm putting into this to make it as sticky as possible.
Understood. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I think people are going to learn a ton from this podcast, guys. If you're not inspired already, you should be. And you've got to have some resources out there. A page for people to kind of get connected to you at the very least. What how can people be in touch and get in the know with everything you're up to?
Probably the easiest way would be I have a what they call a digicard page. It's a single page with a bunch of links where they can schedule a meeting with me if they want to talk about something or maybe work with me. The URL for it is hopefully ideally easy to remember. It's transformwithearl.com.
Okay, transformwithearl.com. I like it. Guys, we're going to put the link in the description box of this podcast today so you can click on over and just get connected and be ready for the next book coming out and, check out more information about all the other books we discussed on this show today.
Yeah.
So as we begin to transition to the end of this podcast, what is one piece of writing advice that you hold near and dear that you think others could really benefit from and need to know today? What do you think?
Uh, well, I would say my probably strongest piece of advice would be to be consistent, right? My non-negotiable agreement to write 100 words a day, that's made all the difference. Books get done when you commit to something like that. It doesn't have to be 100 words a day. It could be 5 minutes. It could be 30 minutes if you've got the time that you can invest each day, if you've got that kind of time freedom. Whatever it is, make sure that it's a consistent and non-negotiable commitment. You can miss a day, right? It happens, something interrupts you, but you don't want to go 2 days in a row, right? Got to get
Right.
back to it. So consistency is definitely a very vital piece to being a successful author. I can speak to the success of that. I've got 12 books total now that are published. Um, I've covered a variety of different genres. I've got short story fiction books that I've written now. I've got a cookbook. I have a book I wrote for people struggling with fibromyalgia. The variety is uh, something that's just kind of happening organically with me. I'm not sure. Again, I think some of it is a download, but books are coming because I'm consistent in my daily writing.
Yeah, so really just consistency then is what I'm hearing. Stick to it. Don't let yourself take a break. You need to, um, just put it on your schedule, find time to write, and that's how you get all these books out, or I see that. And I'm sure you're
Yeah.
always thinking about the books too, throughout the course of the day, getting ready for what am I gonna write and what's Easter eggs am I gonna throw in and how am I gonna plan the next one, right? So
Yes.
perfect stuff.
Yes. And if somebody out there is like, I know I have a book in me, but I don't know how to get started. I don't know all the pieces, how to write, how to format, how to create the covers, how to get endorsements, how to get it published, all the things. They can certainly reach out to me. That's a service now that I'm offering. I'm working with several authors, getting their books out. It can happen in as little as 12 weeks. I actually did have one author who needed something because she was going to be at a conference. She needed it, and we worked very closely together and got her book literally written and published in 3 weeks. That
Wow.
was that was a Herculean effort, but well worth it. It worked out for her very well, and yeah, I'm happy to work with others to do books as well.
I'm really glad to hear that you're kind of giving back to the community. You're such an expert at what you do. People need to learn from it. And if you're interested, everyone, then go ahead and get connected and learn a little bit more from what Earl has to offer. Authors on Mission also does writing resources too. If you need a ghostwriter, an editor, marketing help too, we're a great hub for that also. So if you have a dream for a book, don't hold back thinking I can't write or I don't have the time because people like Earl, people like us, there's people all over the place are there to help you, right? So,
Everyone has a story in them.
yeah,
Their
yeah,
life can be an example of hope and inspiration for someone else. One of my mentors says, "Our mess is our message." So if you've got a mess, you've probably got a message that can help other people.
exactly. I love that. So there we go, guys. This has been an excellent podcast. Earl. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been an inspirational conversation, and I think we've learned a ton. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Danielle. It's been really fun. I am excited about seeing this in its finished form. I love being on podcasts and sharing the information about my books because I love writing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love writing too. I think we all do if you listen to this podcast, but there's always such stuff to be learned. So thanks again. And guys, if you're interested and inspired today, well, go ahead and check out Earl's content and get connected. And just be sure to join us next time as we continue helping leaders just like you transform their knowledge into impact. This is Danielle Hutchinson. We've been chatting with Earl Waud. And until next time, just keep writing, keep leading, and keep inspiring. Have a great day, everybody.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Authority on Demand podcast. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a founder or a leader who's ready to stop being the best kept secret in their industry. If you want to turn your expertise into inbound demand, head to authorityondemand.com to see how we help clients go from unknown to in demand. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, and I'll catch you on the next one. Now, go build some authority.